There we go. Welcome, everybody, to Week 2 recap for Rouge Radio Podcast. This is powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. As you can see below, my name is, at Rouge Daltz, Robert Dalton, and joining me. And I was confused. I was going to say to my right, but if you're looking, technically, if I'm looking at you, you're to my left, right? So that's going to confuse me. Tony Allen, who is not at home. You're not at home?
No, on the road, working again.
Okay.
Back at work.
Another week of CFL football, a lot of drama, a lot of heartache, and probably only one game really provided us with excitement. So we'll go dive into the first game. Montreal losing to the Toronto Argonauts 20-19. Your thoughts on that one? Because I thought Montreal, another game where it was a tale of two halves. They were just slow in the first half, and then they brought it back up to the second half. But a lot of controversy just in regarding to the quarterback position. We'll get your thoughts on this one to start.
I don't know. I didn't think it was a bad football game. It was definitely only the ending that Homer McLeod Simpson can have on his. Because seriously, like it is literally Frank Grimes. Every week there's going to be a new Frank Grimes to the Argonauts, Homer McLeod Thompson. And to me, it was hilarious because that is a Homer thing to do. I'd be like, Homer, they've got the ball on your 23. They just have to kick a field goal. And Homer is like, no, it'll work out. And it did. Everything worked out for Homer McLeod Thompson and the Toronto Argonauts yet again. And Montreal is just standing there like, how did that happen? Because you're playing Homer McLeod Thompson. It will always come up Homer every single time. But I mean, joking aside, I mean, it was an interesting football game. Yeah, I don't think there was any real moments that had me on the edge of my seat and crazy. It's just one of those weird, anything can happen in the CFL. It's why you play the games kind of thing. Because honestly, I thought Montreal could have won the game, should have won the football game. They put themselves in a position to win the football game, and then just a shanked kick that close, and they take the L. It was unbelievable. I didn't know what to think when I saw it happen.
What I know that quarterback controversies are like a thing to talk about, but it's kind of odd when your own head coach kind of instills it into your organization. Like, I'm not saying that Vernon Adams Jr. was lighting it up. I think he was like 2 for 4 for a low number of yardage, and he got pulled. And now, as we heard earlier today, Trevor Harris is practicing with the ones, and I'm thinking there's either an injury that nobody's talking about, or Kahari Jones is feeling it on the hot seat, and he's in desperation mode, right? I mean,
I think with that one, I think that was one where I think I might have been a worker for that one and just coming home and picking up. So I think I did notice that when Trevor Harris was in, I wasn't quite up to date on why Harris would go in and why Vernon Adams was out. And either way, in no world is Trevor Harris the answer. I don't care how he looked. Maybe you can even say that is why the Alouettes didn't win. Just Trevor Harris is not a winner, and I do not think that is the solution to any of your problems.
He's not the insurance pitch that
no.
He was sought out to be last year when they made that acquisition. Do you go out and get a new kicker at this point? I mean it's a one of. It seems to be a growing thing from last year where every kicker, minus a few, we're shanking these easy, that used to be easy kicks, and now Montreal is they who knows? I mean, who knows where they're going to go in the next couple of weeks? But they were this close from not going 0-2. I mean, we could talk about the next thing that we talk about, but Montreal was just so quick, or just so or that close from getting one under the W, and it was just and what's funny is Trevor Harris is going to get a lot of credit for bringing the Alouettes back. But I mean, what was it, like 300 yards and no touchdowns, which is probably the most Trevor Harris stat line like ever in CFL history. But I don't want to rag too much on Trevor Harris. I mean, he's not a horrible quarterback. He's just not one that you kind of tie your anchor to if you're trying to make the playoffs. And Montreal found that out. And boy, Toronto, well, they were moving the ball. They're just going to get in the end zone. And then by the time that they figured it out, they lost their running attack with Andrew Harris. And I don't know. I mean, Andrew Harris kind of proved Winnipeg management wrong in the first half. And then he just kind of proved them right in the second half by being, I guess, too injured, which is probably the one reason why they thought that he was kind of not a scapegoat, but it was kind of like, yeah, you know what, you're 35, you were injured last year. We've got two young guys who we think can do the job, who still early on that boat. But Andrew Harris, I mean, is it early to describe as to whether or not Andrew Harris?
I think it's a little too early to say whether or not the Bombers were right or wrong to release him. I mean, I think, like we said in last week's show when I was talking, it's still Trevor Harris. Like, he's still going to, or it's not Trevor Harris, it's still Andrew Harris. And he's still going to make an impact on a football game regardless. Even if it's not for the full 60 minutes of the game, I think Toronto is a better football club for picking him up. I think the Bombers are a little less talented without Trevor Harris, but they don't lack talent. But you're not better for getting rid of Andrew Harris. And right now it'd probably be too early to say it was a brilliant move or the Bombers dodged a bullet by getting rid of him. Like, I don't think you're ever going to say that. You know, he may not have perfect game after perfect game, but adding Andrew Harris to your team is always your best move if you can do it.
Next game was Friday Night Football, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers go into Ottawa and defeat the Red Blacks 19-12. Now, as you can see, I've got a Bomber banner in the background, so a lot of people are going to take this probably not too kindly. There was a series of events in that game that told me where the Ottawa Red Blacks are right now. The Red Blacks in 2021, I'm trying to get on camera. The Red Blacks in 2021 and now in 2022, that gap is huge. The gap between the Red Blacks now and the Bombers, maybe not as huge, but it's big. It's not as close as I think the stats in the game would like to indicate. And here's the reason why. There was a part in the game, Jeremiah Mazzoli, deep in Winnipeg territory, third and short, they fumbles the ball, and not only do they lose yards, they turn it over on downs. On the ensuing drive, Winnipeg, a deep throw to Ellingson, a couple of runs to Johnny Augustine, a 9-yard pickup by Nick Dembski where he should have actually lost 3 yards. Convert that on the short yardage, and then a long touchdown to Dalton Schoen, making it the final score 19-12. And Hamilton just wasn't able to come back from that, or not Hamilton, Ottawa. They weren't able to come back from that. And I thought, if there is ever, like, that's what Ottawa is missing. They lack that killer instinct almost. And then Winnipeg was like, okay, if you're not going to do anything with it, we're just going to run away with it, right? They just did it with ease almost. And I think that was the difference between Ottawa, you know, from being contenders and pretenders to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who are the reigning defending Grey Cup champions. And I thought, yeah, Ottawa's they're right there. I shouldn't think they're right there. Like, they're good. I just think that, you know, it's like I said back in February, temper your expectations, Red Black fans, because this is the kind of gameplay that, you know, there's going to be some kind of coaching miscommunication. You gather a whole new roster turnover. You're bound to have some kind of hiccups. And it just so happens that they had those hiccups this early against Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So the good part is Ottawa doesn't have to see them till perhaps maybe the Grey Cup, or, you know, one of them either crosses over to the other division. So that's a good thing if you're Ottawa. Bad thing if your other teams, because Ottawa's they're clearly on the up. So I'm not wanting to disrespect, but clearly, in my opinion, the gap between Winnipeg and Ottawa is just not as close as a lot of people thought. And you saw that as Winnipeg kind of didn't run away with it. They closed it out with what appears to be like with ease. So, Tony, your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, if anything, I mean, just to disagree, not disagree because you're allowed to. You saw it the way you did. I think more to on the other side of it. This should have been a bigger margin of victory for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers had already seen them once.
Mm-hmm.
They're the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is the Ottawa Red Blacks that essentially cleaned house, rebuilt their offense around Jeremiah Masoli and their future. And to be honest with you, for as much as I pump Winnipeg's tires, I don't think a 19-12 win in week 2 after marginally getting it done in week 1 sends a strong message that either A, Winnipeg isn't the same team we've seen the last 2 seasons, or they're fine and Ottawa is just a little bit better than we had given them credit for coming into the season. Now, that's for someone else to overanalyze or counter argue.
This is what we do.
Yeah. And you know what? And it's like, whatever it is, whether Winnipeg's not as powerful as we thought, or Ottawa was just a little bit better and was able to contain a powerful Bombers team, I was just surprised to see a mere 7-point difference for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. For having already played Ottawa once, having Masoli and seen that offense, seen the defense, to me, Winnipeg should have known better and done much better than have to grind out another win against the Red Blacks. And again, maybe that's Masoli. Maybe Masoli's making them better. Maybe it's their additions on defense that's making them better. Maybe it's Winnipeg just having a slow start out of the gate. I'm not writing anyone out or awarding the East Division to Ottawa just yet. I just overall watching that football game, I expected more dominance out of Winnipeg than we saw.
You said that we're not awarding the East to Ottawa. It begs the question: who are we awarding the East to?
Yeah,
because,
right.
The next game, the Calgary Stampeders, your Stampeders, in overtime, a thriller, 33-30. And I said this on Twitter many times. It was 24-0.
I know.
How do you outscore? How do you let a team? I mean, it's the Calgary Stampeders, a veteran-laden team. But how do you let any team, score 33 or I guess 30 in a half? I mean, granted, they scored 24, but it's like you had the opportunity to put them away early, and it's not like that Dane Evans kind of choked the game away. This is a Calgary just came back and just it's like, you know what, F it, we're taking back, we're going to be the dominant team that we know that we can be. By the way, I am not convinced that Bo Levi Mitchell is on the way back to prime time Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah.
But Danny Austin, who covers the Calgary Stampeders, sent out a tweet with a quote from Bo Levi Mitchell, and I can't find it for the life of me. But God, it made me think. Villain Bo Levi Mitchell is back. Like he's not on social media, but villain Bo Levi Mitchell is back, and I think that is something that the CFL this year, after the shortened season that we had last year, the missed season, that is something that I think CFL needs. That's like an additional character. Like Rider fans especially love to hate him regardless. Mm-hmm. But now that he's gotten a little bit more vocal, and successful, man, look, the other 7 teams are going to hate him just as much. So, I mean, your comments on that game, and I guess first off, your conclusion as to whether Bo Levi Mitchell, the villain, is back.
Well, I didn't see the quote, but I mean, again, I was working. I came home. The football game was already underway, and it was just like I had said it during the preview show for week 2, it's just Calgary can't play in Hamilton. I don't know why. They're just not successful. So when I came home and saw a lopsided score, it was, well, I'm not upset because this is just what Calgary does. They look brutal. And I mean, based on the Twitter I was reading as well, I mean, even the Stamps fans are ready to give up on Bo Levi Mitchell, try Jake Mayer, something new needs to be done. And then by the end of the football game, everyone loves Bo Levi Mitchell again. He's a hero. He's on top of the world. He's old Bo Levi Mitchell again. And I'm sorry, even those people that tried to tweet out, this shows all you people who gave up on Bo Levi Mitchell. It's like, okay, stop. You did too. You just didn't tweet it out. I don't care who you were. You knew Bo Levi Mitchell wasn't getting it done. And I don't care how positive or supportive of Bo Levi Mitchell you claim to have been. If you were a smart Calgary Stampeder fan, you were thinking it was time to try something else because Bo was not getting it done. And luckily at the end, everything just started to come together for the Calgary Stampeders, because you said it's not like Dane Evans choked it away, but it's like he actually did almost all of the damage himself. From the turnover he coughed up that led to the tie game, to the interception he threw at the end of the game. Okay, it was a tip ball, it was a free ball, and a great swoop to kind of come in and pick it up. But for all intents and purposes, Dane Evans spearheaded that collapse by the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Like I just to see it unfold for the Tiger Cats, I couldn't believe it. A little bit I could believe it because it was, I was saying, through 3 weeks now, you know, it's the 0-2 Tiger Cats, and I haven't gone through any social media, but what are they saying? What I said? Oh, it's only 2 weeks. Don't worry. It's only the second week. It's only the second. And you know what? And maybe they'll get a win next weekend, and then it'll be 2 more losses. And there's, oh, it's only week 5. Oh, it's only week 8. Oh, Labor Day is when the games matter. It's just, for me, I was stunned when it happened, but not surprised because I said this is not this is the decline of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Okay, I mean, I'm still of the thought that it's still rather early, and I think week 2. I think we're starting to get to the area where teams are starting to feel out some other teams, because, you know, whatever. But just to touch on that one, because I mean, yeah, you pointed out to Dane Evans, and it was just kind of like so yeah, he made some ill-advised decisions, some turnovers and whatnot. But usually when you think, oh, it's 20, they gave up a 24-point lead, that it was a complete just disaster after disaster after disaster. I think Calgary deserves full credit for turning that around, because not only was Calgary's offense just kind of inadequate in the first half, their defense wasn't able to stop anything. And who'd have thunk it that a Mark Killam coached special teams was taking penalties after penalties after penalty? That just kind of seems uncharacteristic. So I think all that, you never saw any of what happened in the first half, and then Calgary was like, it was a completely different team. So I think full credit for what Calgary was doing in the second half. They actually, it was Calgary winning it more than anybody saying that that Hamilton choked it away.
I did want to bring up this too, is like, after everything Calgary did, and I just wrote this down so I would forget, even after everything Calgary did, I feel like this has become almost a broken record topic with the Calgary Stampeders. And when you talk about things, particular losses or heartbreaking losses with the Calgary Stampeders, it seems to come back to this big thing. And I don't know if it's Bo Levi Mitchell making the call on his own. I don't know if it's Dave Dickinson giving Bo Levi Mitchell the green light to make these calls, or if it's actually Dave Dickinson himself putting these plays in. But with 2 minutes left and more than enough time to come down the field, even if I think Calgary was on, let's say, their own 20, I can't remember what it was, 2 minutes plus left on the clock. This is the Canadian Football League, where anything can happen. And for the call to come in on first down to go deep was so unnecessary and so pointless and could have cost them the football game because it was incomplete. And now you're on a throwing down again on second down in your own side of the football field and that close to your end zone. It was just atrocious, gross play calling by the Calgary Stampeders when you had more than enough time to orchestrate a drive down the field. Now, fortunately, the Tiger Cats, because you gave up such great field position on the punt, got their field goal rather quickly, and you had a second chance to move it down the field with a minute left. But to me, so there's going to be those, oh, I need to be positive. Let's think positive. We still got it right. It's like, that's great, but it doesn't change the fact that the original call was just, it was just so dumb. With 2 minutes left and a team and Dave Dickinson, who's supposed to be the genius we all claim he is, and we love to pump Dave Dickinson's tires as being such a brilliant head coach, and he was a great quarterback. If he's calling those plays, then he's an idiot, and he needs to get better. And it seems like it's becoming such a problem with the Calgary Stampeders that when they get into trouble, all they want to do is throw the ball downfield, and there's no building drives and trying to get it done that way. And that was definitely one thing from that football game that stuck out to me, is like, with 2 minutes left, that play calling was just gross.
Before we go on to the last game, I found the Danny Austin quote from Bo Levi Mitchell. And I guess this was a little bit more basic than I thought it was, but it said, "I'm not going to use my middle fingers, but to the ones who have been talking trash, it's nice to be back." So Bo Levi Mitchell the villain is officially back. Last game of the week, the Edmonton Elks, so close from when their first win at home since October 12th, 2019. The Saskatchewan Roughriders win 26-16, and I know this is going to come really, really bad from my point of view. You mentioned that you were expecting a little bit more from Winnipeg over Ottawa. You'd have to think you were expecting a little bit more out of Saskatchewan against Edmonton. That first half, minus that one drive, that one touchdown pass to Kenny Lawler, that first half, Saskatchewan should have been up by 25, in my opinion. I don't know if you saw it the same way. Just their defense was just ferocious, just relentless against, and Edmonton just couldn't stop it. And all they got out of the first couple of drives was a couple of field goals, and you just felt that they missed Duke Williams so much, and then they found a running game, Jamal Morrow, Frankie Hickson, and they went away with it too early. And then the undisciplined version of the Riders came back. The first time that the new rule where you get two misconducts or two unnecessary roughness after the whistle, you're gone. Derek Moncrief becomes the answer to a trivia question. Who's the first player to be ejected? And that's Derek Moncrief on Saturday. Which, I mean, we'll talk more about that kind of on the preview show. But your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, this one I didn't really have a lot of fun. I didn't think it was a really lot of fun watching it. I don't know if there was. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I was just tired. It was the end of the week. I wasn't paying attention, and it unfortunately got the last game of the schedule. And of course, I just watched the Calgary Stampeders in an amazing comeback. So maybe it was kind of like I didn't focus, but I mean, I didn't see an impressive game by both of them. I mean, you see the fact that Edmonton had kept it so close after getting absolute destroyed by the BC Lions, and watching Saskatchewan struggle and Edmonton come back and make this a close football game. I mean, Saskatchewan did what I think they do. Like they find some ways to win football games, maybe some football games they shouldn't win. They win the games that they were the better football team in. So I wasn't surprised to see Saskatchewan end strong. But again, it was like I'm not thinking of ways to talk about this football game. I just didn't see a lot in there that was super exciting. But again, maybe that was just coming off watching the big comeback win by Calgary, and this unfortunately just getting the late game on the last game of the schedule for the weekend.
Yeah, it's just funny is that like stats wise, like I looked at and I saw that Nick Arbuckle was out throwing Cody Fajardo, and I was like, that can't be accurate. Like that looked wrong. And Cody Fajardo didn't have his best game, but I mean he dispersed the ball around equally. You got Shaq Evans attempted to get him into the involved. Jake Hardy as well. Kind of shake for Baker. I mean, it was just like an all-around effort offensively for Saskatchewan, and it just seems that they should have been up by that this game should have been out of Edmonton's possibility of coming back by halftime. Just want to mention, unfortunately, the Saskatchewan Roughriders look like to be out without the services of Dan Clark, their center, who's been with the team for God knows how long. Early reports indicate that it's an ankle. Some people are saying a broken leg, and if it's a broken leg, chances of him coming back earlier than, or at least not missing the season, at least that's a positive outlook. But he's gone for the foreseeable future. So, thoughts and prayers for Dan Clark on a speedy recovery. Any thoughts on week 2 before we wrap it up, because we are on a deadline?
Yeah, no, still good football. All 4 games, they were worth watching, even if they weren't history-making ones. They were all, I think, still 4 solid football games. And I had some fun at your expense, texting you if the Bombers were built to beat the Calgary Stampeders this year. And I mean, maybe that's what prompted the dueling Grey Cup champion T-shirts for the broadcast. But
I just did it because that's what I had it on. I don't know if you did yours on purpose. So
actually, it was in my suitcase here in the hotel, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to put it on just for this broadcast. So I changed literally before we came on here, so that way I could have the old thing on.
Yeah. All right, that'll do it for our week 2 recap. We'll be back later this week with our week 3 preview. We've got a lot to talk about. Do we talk about Al Bradbury? Do we talk about the officiating, in-game interviews? We've got a lot to talk about on our weekly podcast. And of course, this is powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. You see the ticker. If you're watching this live, make sure to go there. Go to that link, enter the promo code JOIN125 with our affiliates, betus.com. Your first deposit will be matched up to 125%. Not enabling or not encouraging gambling. Of course, gamble responsibly, as we always say. But that'll do it for week 2. Take care. I'm Daltz. That's Tony. And thanks for watching.